So if you've ever felt like your energy is too much for the world, maybe it's because you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to awaken others, and to live from your highest truth. Remember, having a powerful aura is not a curse, it's a calling. Embrace it, protect it, and let it guide you toward your purpose. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming videos that help you grow spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. Until next time, keep shining. The world needs your light. 1. What you feel is not love. It's fear and emotional dependency. What many people call love is often just fear in disguise. Fear of being alone, fear of being unworthy, fear of not being enough. These fears don't create connection. They create emotional dependence. When your heart races not from joy, but from panic at someone's silence. When your hands tremble every time you check your phone for a message that never comes, you are not in love. You are addicted to reassurance. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, believed that what we don't consciously deal with in ourselves, we project onto others. That projection often looks like love, but it's really just a mirror reflecting your unmet needs. You think you miss them, but what you truly miss is the feeling of being wanted. You long for their presence, but it's not their soul you crave. It's the relief from your own loneliness. That's the lie emotional dependency tells you, that their attention is love and their absence is abandonment. But in truth, when you rely on someone else to feel whole, you've handed them the keys to your identity. Their presence becomes your self-worth. Their response becomes your validation. Carl Jung taught that true transformation happens when we become conscious of our unconscious patterns. And this includes recognizing when we are mistaking fear for affection. Emotional dependency is not romantic. It's survival-based. It's the nervous system screaming for safety, not the heart whispering love. This is why letting go feels so painful, not because we are losing something sacred, but because we are losing the illusion that someone else could complete us. A woman I knew once stayed in a relationship long after it turned cold. Every day, she waited for messages that never came. She'd scroll endlessly, overanalyzing every word, every silence, every moment he didn't respond. Her life began revolving around his emotional availability. One day, he left. She thought her world had ended. But slowly, as the noise settled, she realized she had been more attached to the version of herself who felt worthy in his presence than to the actual man. That realization broke her, but it also freed her. Love, when it is real, expands you. It doesn't reduce you to a fragment waiting to be pieced together by another. Carl Jung would say that the process of becoming whole individuation requires us to reclaim what we've projected. That means learning to sit with discomfort without numbing it through someone else's attention. It means asking yourself, what am I afraid of when I'm alone? And being brave enough to listen to the answer. When your love is rooted in fear, you'll never feel safe even when they're right next to you. Because your fear is not about them. It's about the parts of you that still feel unlovable. Letting go, then, is not just about moving on from another person. It's about confronting those inner wounds you tried to cover up with someone else's presence. It's about standing in your own light and refusing to shrink just to feel chosen. You deserve a love that does not require you to betray yourself. A love that is not built on anxiety, silence, or sacrifice of identity. When you stop begging for crumbs of affection and start nourishing your own soul, you stop confusing intensity for intimacy. You begin to see clearly. Love is not possession, and it is not pain disguised as passion. It is peace, freedom, and deep mutual presence. Anything else is fear, and you are no longer available for that. Have you ever mistaken fear or emotional dependency for love? If so, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else wake up. If not, comment, "I will reflect," so we can grow together in awareness and emotional freedom. 2. Attachment is an illusion that you need someone to survive. Attachment is not love. It is the illusion that you need someone else in order to survive, to feel whole, to matter. This illusion is powerful, convincing you that without their presence, you'll fall apart. But the truth is, real love begins where dependency ends. When you say, "I can't live without you," what you're really saying is, "I've abandoned my own self." Love rooted in fear becomes a cage. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that true connection doesn't bind, it liberates. It doesn't say, "You complete me," but rather, "I am complete, and I choose to walk beside you." When we confuse attachment with love, we set ourselves up for constant anxiety. Every silence becomes a threat. Every unanswered message feels like rejection. You're not waiting for love. You're bracing for abandonment. And in that state, even the smallest distance feels like a storm. But real love is not afraid of space. It breathes. It allows both souls to grow without shrinking. As Carl Jung understood so deeply, love grounded in freedom is the only love that can evolve. Anything else is control dressed up as care, fear wearing the mask of devotion. Control is not intimacy. Promises cannot replace presence, and possession is the opposite of peace. When you truly love someone, you don't grip them with expectations. You give them the gift of choice. And if they stay, it's not because they are trapped. It's because they are free and still choose you. There is something profoundly beautiful about knowing that you are loved not because someone needs you to survive, but because they see your soul and wish to share their journey with you. We often say we want unconditional love, but we rarely practice it. Our attachments come with silent conditions. Don't change too much. Don't leave. Don't grow beyond me. But love says, "I want your growth, even if it changes the way we fit together." Spiritual wisdom reminds us that letting go is not weakness, it's strength. It's choosing not to force what no longer flows. It's choosing yourself without resentment. It's standing in the fire of detachment and learning that your peace does not depend on another's presence. So when your heart aches with the thought of losing someone, ask yourself, is this love or is this fear of being alone? Are you holding on because your soul is aligned or because your identity is entangled? The truth is, if love causes you to lose your center, it's not love, it's attachment. If you are constantly chasing validation, constantly fearing their departure, constantly shrinking yourself to be loved, then you are not in love. You are in survival mode. Letting go is not the end of love. It's the beginning of self-love. It's the decision to stop clinging and start allowing. It's the realization that love doesn't need to be controlled. because what is real will never require force. You don't need someone to be your oxygen. You are your own breath, your own anchor, your own home. And when you embody that truth, love becomes a dance, not a chain, a choice, not a necessity. And in that freedom, something miraculous happens. Love returns, but this time, it's real. It's not desperate. It doesn't beg or grasp. It simply is. And you finally understand. The only love worth having is the one that respects your soul's freedom, not just your emotional needs. That is the heart of spiritual wisdom, not losing yourself in another, but finding yourself in the mirror of letting go. If this message helped you see attachment in a new light, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comments below. Let's grow in love, not in need together. 3. Childhood wounds and the inner child are the root of attachment. Attachment issues don't begin in adulthood. They're planted deep within us, in the quiet moments of childhood when we first learned that love came with conditions. Maybe you were only embraced when you were quiet, praised when you performed, or noticed when you pleased others. Slowly, you internalized the belief that your worth was tied to behavior. So now, as an adult, when someone pulls away or love feels uncertain, you panic, not because you're irrational, but because your inner child is reliving a familiar script of abandonment. The begging, the clinging, the shape-shifting, it's not a weakness. It's an unhealed survival response. This isn't just psychology. It's spiritual wisdom. What feels like heartbreak is often a sacred call to awaken. You're not broken because you want to be loved. You're human. But when you try to earn love by sacrificing parts of yourself, you disconnect from your soul. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The relationships you chase now are echoes of unmet childhood needs. You're not addicted to people. You're addicted to trying to fix the past through them. That anxious energy you feel when someone pulls away isn't love. It's your inner child begging not to be abandoned again. The true spiritual awakening begins when you stop looking outward and start looking inward. When you realize that healing isn't found in being chosen by others, it's found in choosing yourself. Letting go isn't about walking away with bitterness or shutting down emotionally. It's about turning inward and embracing the wounded parts of you with compassion. That little version of you who never felt seen, who had to work for love, who internalized shame just to feel safe, they are still there and they need you now more than ever. When you learn to reparent yourself, to say, "You're enough," even if they leave, "I won't," something shifts. That's not just emotional healing, it's spiritual alignment. You stop begging the world to validate your worth and start creating an inner world that holds you steady, no matter who comes or goes. The nervous system calms, the soul expands, and love becomes something you give freely, not something you lose yourself trying to earn. Spiritual awakening isn't just about reaching higher states of consciousness. It's about diving deep into the underworld of your own past, pulling those shadows into the light, and saying, "Even this part of me is worthy of love." You don't heal by forcing detachment or pretending you don't care. You heal by allowing yourself to feel the grief, and then choosing again and again to stay loyal to your own soul. The fear of letting go fades when you realize what you're really releasing. Not the person, but the illusion that you ever had to become someone else to be loved. When you meet your own needs with tenderness, when you listen to your own pain with patience, you stop seeking wholeness in places that only offer conditions. This is the work. This is the path, not just of recovery, but of rebirth. You stop needing love that hurts and start living love that heals. If you're ready to heal your inner child and break free from attachment patterns, comment below. I am ready to love without fear. Let's support each other on this journey of deep healing and self-discovery. 4. Emotional chaos is mistaken for passion or deep love. Many people mistake emotional chaos for love, believing that the more intense and unstable it is, the more meaningful it must be. But what they're really experiencing is not love, it's a trauma response. When your body and mind have been conditioned to equate love with pain, rejection, or inconsistency, then calm, secure love can feel unfamiliar or even boring. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This perfectly explains why so many continue chasing relationships filled with jealousy, anxiety, and emotional highs and lows, because deep down, the chaos feels familiar. It's what their nervous system has been taught to expect. If you find yourself drawn to people who confuse you, drain you, or make you feel unsure of your worth, it's time to pause and ask yourself what part of you believes this is love. True love does not feel like insomnia, panic, or constantly checking your phone for a reply. That gut-wrenching anxiety isn't passion. It's a wound begging to be seen. You were likely never taught what healthy love looks like, so your nervous system attaches to what feels known, even if it hurts. That's why, when someone genuinely shows up with patience, respect, and emotional consistency, it may feel too easy or even uncomfortable. But that's not boredom. That's healing. Your soul is slowly remembering what peace feels like. Sarah, a young woman who grew up watching her parents constantly fight, shared how she once walked away from a man who treated her with kindness and respect. He never raised his voice, never made her guess how he felt, never left her on red. And yet, she felt restless. She missed the chaos. There's no fire, she told herself. But what she didn't realize was that she wasn't lacking passion. She was experiencing unfamiliar safety. Carl Jung's theory of the shadow reveals that parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge will quietly run our lives. Sarah's inner programming linked love with emotional turbulence, so anything peaceful felt fake. She didn't need more passion. She needed more healing. This is how trauma sneaks into our relationships. It convinces us that love should hurt, that fighting means they care, and that jealousy is a sign of affection. But love, in its highest form, is none of these things. It's presence. It's steadiness. It's knowing that you are safe to be soft, without punishment. And if that feels unnatural to you, it's not because you're broken. It's because you're healing. Learning to receive calm love is a form of spiritual awakening. As Carl Jung taught, healing begins when you face your unconscious wounds and bring them into the light. You don't need more chaos. You need nervous system peace. You don't need someone who makes you question your worth. You need someone who reminds you that you're already enough. When you begin to see that real love isn't about chasing highs or surviving emotional warfare, something shifts inside you. You start to redefine love, not as something that takes from you, but something that grows with you. Emotional intensity may be thrilling, but it's not sustainable. What sustains a soul is love that's rooted in truth, trust, and tenderness. The most powerful relationships don't set your heart on fire. They help your soul exhale. When that happens, you're no longer reacting from past pain. You're choosing from present wisdom. That is the essence of spiritual wisdom. And that is the path Carl Jung invites you to walk away from illusion into truth. Don't forget to subscribe for more spiritual wisdom on breaking trauma bonds and discovering what real love truly feels like. 5. Real love begins when you choose yourself. First, the greatest act of love is choosing your own peace over fear. Not the temporary peace that comes from people-pleasing or avoiding conflict, but the deep and lasting peace that rises when you stop betraying yourself just to be loved. Detachment is not indifference. It is clarity. It is the realization that your worth is not tied to someone else's presence or approval. To say, "I love you, but I don't need you to complete me," is not a rejection. It is the highest form of love because it's born from fullness, not fear. This is spiritual wisdom in motion. When love is no longer clinging, but honoring when you release expectations and hold space for freedom. Choosing yourself does not mean turning your back on others. It means turning toward yourself, maybe for the first time in years. It means no longer outsourcing your identity to those who can't see you. There is a quiet power in no longer begging to be chosen. There is liberation in no longer checking your worth through someone else's eyes. When you detach with love, you don't stop caring. You just stop sacrificing your peace in the name of connection. That is the sacred boundary between true love and emotional dependency. One lifts you up, the other drains you. One says, "I want you because I choose you." The other pleads, "I need you because I don't know who I am without you." When you begin to choose yourself, you awaken the version of you that has been waiting to be remembered. You no longer shrink to fit into someone's limited idea of love. You no longer fear being alone because solitude becomes sacred instead of scary. You understand now that the heart can remain open, even when the door must be closed. You understand that walking away doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're honoring what no longer resonates with your soul. It means you trust that love rooted in truth will never require you to abandon yourself. This shift is not easy. You will feel the pull of old patterns. Your body may still crave the familiarity of attachment, but your soul knows the difference. It knows that anything that costs your peace is too expensive. It knows that your healing is not selfish, it's necessary. You don't have to harden your heart to let go. You just have to soften into the truth that some people were only meant to be chapters, not the whole story. Some connections were only there to show you what love is not, so you could finally recognize what love truly is, beginning with yourself. In a world that confuses attachment with affection and fear with passion, this kind of letting go becomes revolutionary. It becomes an act of rebellion against the myth that you must suffer to love. It becomes a statement: I will no longer stay in places that silence me. I will no longer confuse anxiety for intimacy. I will no longer abandon myself for temporary belonging. When you let go from a place of spiritual wisdom, you don't close your heart, you cleanse it. You don't lose love, you elevate it. And what remains is not emptiness, but wholeness. Not loss, but freedom. Not loneliness, but peace. If you're ready to choose yourself first and embrace love without losing your peace, comment below. I choose me to affirm your power. Let's walk this path of self-respect and real love together. 6. True healing means facing the pain and going inward. To truly heal, you must stop blaming others and begin the deeper work of looking within. The pain you carry isn't just a result of what others have done to you. It's also tied to the parts of yourself you've ignored, buried, or misunderstood. Carl Jung said it best. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. What that means is simple but life-changing. Until you face what's hidden inside you, your life will be ruled by patterns you can't control. Healing, then, is not just about relief. It's about awareness. It's about bringing light to the shadows and choosing not to live in denial anymore. When you're going through a spiritual awakening, everything inside you begins to shift. You start to see that the cycles you've been caught in emotional reactivity, toxic relationships, and self-sabotage are not random. They are echoes of unhealed pain. Breaking these cycles requires more than just time. It requires the bravery to sit with your discomfort instead of running from it. Healing isn't always a peaceful process. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart, when in truth, everything false is simply falling away. That's when you know you're doing the real work, not surface-level self-care, but the deep emotional excavation that leads to transformation. You'll be asked to revisit the memories you've avoided, to feel the feelings you've numbed, and to ask hard questions like, why do I keep attracting the same kind of pain? Or, what part of me believes I don't deserve better? These questions don't have easy answers, but asking them is how you take your power back. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix you, validate you, or rescue you is the moment your healing truly begins. You begin to understand that emotional triggers are sacred. They show you where you're still wounded and where you still need compassion. Spiritual awakening often begins with a breakdown, a crack in the illusion that you are fine, that you are whole, that you are safe. But through that crack, your truth begins to shine. You realize that you are not your pain, not your past, not your mistakes. You are the observer. You are the healer. You are the one who chooses what happens next. And the more conscious you become, the more power you have to create something new. That's why healing feels like chaos. It's the old self dying, the false self dissolving, so the real you can finally emerge. The journey inward is not easy, but it is sacred. You're not just learning how to feel better. You're learning how to be better, more whole, more grounded, more aligned with your truth. You begin to release the need for external validation because your inner voice grows louder. You stop chasing love and start becoming love. You no longer see your emotions as problems, but as messages. And eventually, the pain that once ruled your life becomes the wisdom that guides it. That's what true spiritual awakening is. The ability to see your suffering not as a curse, but as the very doorway to your transformation. Leave a like and subscribe for more deep truths like this. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of your healing journey. If you're ready to face your pain and grow from it, comment below. I choose to heal from within. 7. Your greatest love story is with yourself. The love of your life is not a person. It is your evolution. It is the way you rise from pain and learn to no longer chase validation. It is the way you sit with your loneliness and turn it into power. It is the stillness that begins to replace chaos, the boundaries that protect your peace, and the dignity you reclaim every time you choose yourself. As Carl Jung taught, the greatest journey is inward. When you stop looking outside for completion and start looking within, you awaken to something deeper than romance. You awaken to wholeness, and in that space, you stop settling for love that wounds, confuses, or controls. Because now, you understand that real love doesn't trap you, it expands you. When you embrace yourself fully, you no longer tolerate relationships built on fear, control, or desperation. You begin to recognize that many of the things you once called love were actually attachments born from unhealed wounds. That anxiety you used to feel when someone didn't text back wasn't passion. It was abandonment trauma disguised as affection. That pain you felt in silence wasn't love. It was the echo of your unmet needs begging to be seen. Carl Jung believed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So, the healing begins with awareness. You begin to see the difference between love and addiction, presence and possession, soul connection and emotional chaos. There's a woman I once knew who thought love meant giving everything she had, her time, her peace, her identity. Relationship after relationship, she lost herself trying to be enough for someone else. It wasn't until her heart was shattered one final time that she realized she had never truly chosen herself. So she did. She began waking up early, just to sit with herself in silence. She wrote down every lie she believed and replaced them with truths. She stopped answering calls from people who only remembered her when they were lonely. She started eating better, speaking softer to herself, and letting the past die so something new could live. Months passed. Her energy shifted. People noticed. But by then, she didn't need anyone to validate her anymore because she had already come home to herself. This is what spiritual awakening looks like. It is not loud. It is not glamorous. It is a quiet revolution inside of you. It is choosing peace over patterns. It is releasing what hurts even when it feels familiar. It is becoming someone who no longer tolerates being half-loved. And when you reach that state, love finds you differently. You no longer beg for it. You radiate it. You attract people who are also whole, also healing, also rooted in truth. You build connections based not on filling voids, but on shared purpose, growth, and respect. Carl Jung didn't write fairy tales. He wrote roadmaps to the soul. He knew that true love doesn't begin when someone else enters your life. It begins the moment you no longer abandon yourself. So when you ask who your soulmate is, look in the mirror. It is the one who chose healing over comfort, growth over repeating cycles, and inner truth over external approval. That is your greatest love story, and it never needed anyone else to begin. If this message touched your soul, leave a comment below. I choose to love myself first. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a reminder of your worth, your power, and your journey back to wholeness. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing your soul over your suffering. As Carl Jung reminded us, True freedom begins when we release what no longer serves our growth. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment to reflect on what it's time to release in your own life. And if you found value in today's insights, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment of spiritual truth and transformation. Until next time, stay grounded, stay awakened, and keep walking your path with courage. Why only the chosen women have these 7 hidden marks? The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. Have you ever felt like there's something different about you? Something hidden, yet deeply powerful? In today's video on Spiritual Wisdom, we're diving into why only the chosen women carry these 7 hidden marks, symbols of divine purpose, intuition, and spiritual depth that often go unnoticed by the world, yet shape destinies in silence. These aren't just traits. They're sacred imprints guiding you towards your higher self. As you listen, reflect on which of these marks resonate with your journey. Do you recognize any within yourself? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your story. Let's begin this powerful exploration together. 1. Divine discontent. They feel a deep, unshakable restlessness even when life appears good on the outside. It's not about being ungrateful or chasing more. It's a sacred discontent, a divine agitation placed by heaven itself. This stirring is not a flaw. It is an inner compass guiding chosen women toward their greater assignment. Even in comfort, their spirit is unsettled because their soul recognizes that the current situation is too small for what they're meant to carry. It's not that life is wrong, it's just that it's not yet fully right. There's more purpose, more calling, more alignment, and that divine discomfort is what pulls them forward. Like Queen Esther in the palace, these women are often placed in environments that look ideal from the outside, but feel spiritually mismatched within. Esther wasn't just lucky. She was strategically positioned for a divine mission. Her discomfort wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of timing. Heaven stirred her heart so she wouldn't stay silent. In the same way, many chosen women today feel this divine agitation, not because they are doing something wrong, but because they are being prepared for something greater. It's a holy preparation disguised as emotional tension. This feeling can show up at unexpected times in a stable career that feels meaningless, in a relationship that lacks depth, or in a lifestyle that others envy, but your soul resists. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, a whisper in the heart, a thought you can't shake, a sense that you are outgrowing the space you're in. That's not ego. That's the echo of your destiny calling. It is a sacred invitation to stretch beyond comfort zones and embrace your divine assignment. Take the story of a young woman named Ava. She had everything society told her she needed: an admirable career in social work, a loving family, and a supportive partner. But each day, something inside her grew louder. She couldn't name it at first. It wasn't depression or burnout. It was a call to do something that aligned more deeply with her soul's truth. Eventually, that sacred restlessness pushed her to start a healing circle for women recovering from trauma, a space that didn't exist before she created it. That discomfort didn't destroy her. It revealed her. And in doing so, it helped heal others. Feeling out of place isn't proof that you're lost. It's a clue that you're being called. The more a chosen woman tries to suppress that restlessness, the louder it becomes. It shows up in her body, her emotions, her dreams. And the moment she dares to listen, she begins to shift. Not because life outside has changed, but because she has started to align with the truth of who she really is. Divine discontent is one of the most powerful signs of spiritual selection. It's not meant to torment, it's meant to awaken. Heaven does not whisper into the ears of the distracted. It speaks through the aching silence of those who are ready to rise. So if you feel out of place, misunderstood, or misaligned, it is not a curse. It's a summons. You are being prepared, positioned, and pushed. Not because you're not enough, but because you are more than what the world sees. Comment. I feel the call if this message resonates with your soul, or still searching if you're on the journey but not sure yet. Let's talk about it below. 2. Scar that turned into a sword. Chosen women have walked through fires that would have destroyed others, but instead of being consumed, they emerged transformed, carrying not just pain, but power. Their suffering wasn't just an experience, it was an initiation, a sacred trial allowed by the divine not to punish them, but to prepare them. The first hidden mark of a chosen woman is this: the scar that turned into a sword. Scars tell stories, not of defeat, but of survival, of the quiet strength it takes to bleed and still believe. A chosen woman's scar is not a symbol of what broke her, but of what built her. Each wound she carries has been refined by grace, made holy through her perseverance. She did not ask for the battle, but she chose to rise from it. This is what makes her different. While others collapse under pressure, she becomes sharper, clearer, stronger. The same pain that tried to bury her is what forged her into someone the world can no longer ignore. These are not just emotional bruises. They are spiritual signatures, heaven's fingerprint on her life. Like Hannah, she has known what it means to cry in silence, to feel forgotten, to pray when no one listens. And yet, her tears planted something sacred. Hannah's sorrow birthed Samuel, a prophet of nations. Her agony wasn't wasted, it was weaponized. The same is true for the chosen woman. The heartbreak that was meant to harden her heart instead broke it open, allowing divine love to pour in. What was once a wound has now become her worship. Or like Joseph, sold by his brothers, abandoned in a pit, left behind in prison. And yet, none of it could derail what God had declared over his life. Joseph's suffering wasn't a detour, it was a divine setup. His pain didn't stop his purpose, it revealed it. In the same way, the chosen woman carries this mark: pain that became prophecy, rejection that became redirection, the affliction that became her anointing. There is something holy about the woman who suffers silently but still loves loudly. The one who serves even when she's empty, who gives even when no one gives back, who worships while wounded. She knows what it means to feel invisible and still be invaluable. Her scar became a sword the moment she stopped asking, "Why me?" and started declaring, "Use me." This mark cannot be faked. It is not surface-level strength or a mask of resilience. It is soul-deep refinement. You know her by her eyes, tired, yet fearless. Her silence still, yet powerful. Her presence gentle, yet immovable. She doesn't need applause. She has alignment. She doesn't seek validation. She embodies revelation because she knows what hurt her didn't hinder her. It handed her the sword. And if you have ever walked through suffering that no one saw, if you have ever worshipped with tears running down your face, if you have forgiven someone who never said sorry, if you have kept believing when every sign said, give up, then you carry this mark too. Heaven chose you not in spite of your wounds, but because of what your wounds revealed, that you could carry pain without becoming bitter, that you could hold grief without losing hope, that you could be cut and still choose to heal others. You were not broken, you were becoming. You were not cursed, you were being carved into someone unstoppable. That is why your scar is sacred. That is why your scar became a sword. If this message speaks to your soul, repeat after me. My scars are sacred. My pain has shaped my power. I am chosen for something greater. 3. Unshakable joy in dry places. Despite the storms, the chosen woman radiates a joy that cannot be stolen. It's not a joy based on emotion or fleeting circumstance. It is a sacred stance of defiance, a weapon forged in the fires of her spiritual battles. Her joy is spiritual warfare. When life tries to break her, when grief or betrayal tighten around her like chains, she still finds a way to laugh, not from delusion, but from divine alignment. Like the Proverbs 31 woman, she laughs without fear of the future, not because the future is predictable, but because she knows who walks before her. Her smile in chaos is not weakness, it's evidence of unseen strength, a declaration that despair will not have the final word. This kind of joy doesn't come from surface-level positivity. It is deep, refined, and intentional. It is the fruit of many silent seasons where she learned to find beauty in ashes, grace in loss, and light in the middle of her darkest nights. Her joy is not a mask, it is mastery. She has mastered how to sit in sorrow without drowning in it. She has discovered that joy is not the opposite of pain, it's the power to rise above it. And so, when the enemy comes to steal her peace, he finds a woman too rooted in purpose to be shaken. Joy, for the chosen woman, is rebellion. It is holy resistance against every voice that told her she was too broken, too late, or too far gone. She chooses to celebrate in advance, even when nothing around her looks worth celebrating. Because her joy is prophetic, it speaks of a future not yet seen, but deeply believed. She understands that her vibration is her message, and every time she chooses to smile, to speak life, to dance while bleeding, she is declaring that heaven still holds her story. What others call delusion, she calls faith. What others call naive, she calls revelation. She is not pretending life is easy. She simply refuses to let difficulty define her. She knows that joy in dry places is proof of favor, not foolishness. Where others see barrenness, she sees preparation. Where others mourn what's missing, she rejoices in what's coming. Her heart carries a rhythm that the world cannot tune into because it plays a heavenly song, a frequency of hope, praise, and endurance that only the chosen understand. Her joy is her protest. Her peace is her weapon. And her laughter? That's her war cry. It tells the darkness, you did not win. It tells her past, you no longer define me. And it tells her future, I'm coming for you with light in my eyes and praise on my tongue. This woman doesn't just survive storms, she dances in the rain. Not because the rain is pleasant, but because she knows it is watering something sacred within her. Something the world cannot steal. Something the enemy cannot touch. Something called unshakable joy. 4. Sensitivity to injustice and pain. Chosen women carry a profound sensitivity to pain and injustice, not as a flaw, but as a divine assignment etched into their soul. They don't just notice suffering, they feel it, absorb it, and carry it in their spirit as if it were their own. Their tears come quickly, not because they are fragile, but because their emotional system is wired by heaven to respond to the cries of others. This spiritual empathy is not something learned. It is embedded in them as a divine responsibility. While the world may label it as oversensitivity, in the unseen realm, it is regarded as sacred intelligence, an ability to sense what is broken beneath the surface and release healing through heartfelt intercession. Their tears are not ordinary. Like sacred prayers, they rise as a fragrance to the heavens. Just as Jesus wept over a world that could not see the truth, these women are called to weep over wounds that others overlook. Their crying is not weakness, it is prophecy. It is spiritual warfare fought in silence. They walk among us like emotional midwives, quietly birthing healing, transformation, and peace. Where others see emotion as a liability, heaven sees it as activation. When they feel pain, they don't just react, they shift the atmosphere. When they sense injustice, their soul intercedes even before words are spoken. They are entrusted to carry other people's burdens in a world that often teaches us to carry nothing but our own ambition. This burden is heavy. It often isolates them. Because their energy draws the brokenhearted, the emotionally wounded, and the spiritually lost, they are rarely surrounded by lightness. But this is part of the calling. Their presence is a sanctuary, and people are drawn to their warmth without understanding the weight they carry. Their emotional depth becomes a magnet for divine assignments. Strangers feel safe enough to confess. Friends lean on them for strength, and even those in darkness seek their light. This attraction is not random. It is spiritual law in motion. According to the law of attraction, what you embody is what you draw. Chosen women carry healing energy, so they naturally draw those who need it most. And yet, most of the work they do remains unseen. They are not celebrated for their quiet prayers. They are not rewarded for the nights they spent crying for someone else's pain. But heaven sees. Heaven hears. These women are known in the spirit realm as intercessors, soul warriors, sacred vessels through which divine compassion flows. Their spiritual awakening was not for self-enlightenment alone. It was to become a bridge between pain and purpose, between heartbreak and healing. When others give up on someone, they still feel the urge to pray. When the world turns away, they lean in. When no one is watching, they still whisper prayers that move mountains. The emotional depth that once felt like a curse is actually a manifestation of spiritual maturity. It is a gift wrapped in discomfort, a divine signal that their soul is attuned to higher frequencies of compassion. These women have been through enough to recognize that pain is a portal, and instead of running from it, they walk straight into it, not to suffer, but to rescue. They do not need attention. They need alignment. They do not seek recognition. They seek restoration for themselves and for those who cannot find their way home. Their power lies in the quiet moments, in the whispered prayers, in the tears that fall unnoticed. But in the spiritual world, nothing they release is wasted. Every tear waters the soil of someone else's healing. This is not just emotion. This is energy. This is divine technology operating through a human heart. And in a world that numbs feeling in order to function, their sensitivity is not just a gift, it is a revolutionary act of spiritual defiance. They are here to heal through empathy, to restore through softness, and to awaken through love. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom on how spiritual sensitivity is not a weakness, but a divine gift. If you've ever wept for others without knowing why, or carried invisible burdens with grace, this space is for you. Join us on the journey of sacred empathy and silent intercession. 5. Attracts unprovoked attacks. She attracts unprovoked attacks, not because of any wrongdoing, but because of the light she carries. A light so powerful, so pure, it threatens the very foundations of darkness. There's something sacred about her presence, something ancient that echoes through her aura. Without saying a word, she unsettles rooms. Without fighting, she provokes resistance. That is the nature of spiritual warfare, subtle yet intense. It surrounds the chosen, not the passive. The more divine energy she radiates, the more the forces of spiritual opposition rise against her. She may not wear a title, but heaven knows her name, and so does the enemy. This woman's life is a battlefield, not because she is weak, but because she is spiritually dangerous. Her obedience disturbs patterns. Her intuition disrupts illusions. Her light exposes what others try to keep hidden. Like Mary, the mother of Christ, she is not exalted by worldly status, but by divine alignment. Mary said yes to God and immediately became a target. She was judged, rejected, pursued. Her path was holy but costly. Likewise, the chosen woman today may find herself misunderstood, falsely accused, or isolated not because of failure, but because her yes to the divine mission placed her under a spiritual spotlight. Darkness does not waste its time attacking what poses no threat. It only targets those who carry power. Her presence is disruptive to the status quo of spiritual stagnation. She may face betrayals, heartbreak, or energetic exhaustion, not because she is cursed, but because she is confirmed. The enemy recognizes the seed she carries. The frequency of her soul vibrates at a level that makes demonic interference inevitable. She's not just surviving battles, she is activating divine assignments through them. Many women assume that frequent attacks mean they are doing something wrong. But in the spiritual realm, attacks are often a sign that she is finally walking in alignment. They are spiritual feedback that she's tapping into sacred power, stepping into a higher version of herself. She is being pruned, not punished. As the scripture says, every fruitful branch is pruned so it may bear more fruit. Pruning hurts. It looks like loss. It feels like confusion. But it's sacred preparation. Her life is not falling apart. It's being rearranged for divine purpose. There are times she wonders, why me? But she must learn to ask, what am I carrying that's worth attacking? Because only those with purpose become targets. The warfare is a mirror of her potential. The more intense the attack, the more evident the anointing. Her life may seem like a series of spiritual ambushes, but in truth, each one is a divine confirmation of the holy energy within her. The hidden mark here is not the pain itself, but her ability to continue radiating light despite it. She still loves, even after betrayal. She still prays, even after silence. She still stands, even after the storm. That's not just resilience, it's divine evidence. Her scars are not shameful, they are sacred. They speak of battles fought in silence and victories won in the spirit. This is why she attracts unprovoked attacks, not because she is flawed, but because she is chosen. If this message has stirred your spirit, declare your faith in the comments. I carry light that darkness cannot extinguish. I am chosen and protected by God. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss what heaven is revealing next. 6. Misunderstood and isolated. They are often alone, not because they choose isolation, but because isolation chooses them. A chosen woman is not always understood by the world around her. Her quietness is mistaken for arrogance. Her strength is misread as stubbornness. Her ability to stand firm in her values is labeled as pride. But the truth is far more profound. What the world misinterprets is actually the evidence of divine preparation. When God sets someone apart, He doesn't always surround them with applause. More often, He surrounds them with silence. Because in silence, she grows. In solitude, she transforms. Chosen women walk a road that others often can't comprehend. This road isn't glamorous. It's hidden, rugged, and sacred. It's where God speaks in whispers only a refined soul can hear. Like Jesus in the wilderness, like Moses tending sheep in obscurity, like Hagar crying in the desert, chosen women are drawn into sacred aloneness, not because they are unloved, but because they are deeply loved by heaven. The silence is not a punishment. It's a sanctuary. It is here, in the absence of noise and distraction, that she is trained in discernment, purified in intention, and strengthened in spirit. The world overlooks her, but heaven never does. In the modern world, this mark often plays out through women who don't conform. She might be the one who keeps her circle small. She chooses depth over popularity. She doesn't chase validation because she's anchored in something eternal. Others may whisper behind her back, claiming she's distant or cold. But what they fail to see is the fire she carries inside the sacred energy that's too precious to waste on surface-level approval. She is not here to entertain or explain. She is here to evolve. Even in family settings, she may feel like the black sheep, the one who thinks differently, the one who challenges the dysfunction that others accept. And because of this, she's often excluded. But being misunderstood is the price of being marked. Her boundaries are not walls, they are filters. Her silence is not empty, it is full of divine conversation. She walks through seasons where she receives no affirmation, no recognition, and yet continues to show up. This is the making of someone who has been chosen not for comfort, but for calling. This mark of isolation is never about abandonment. It is about alignment. It is heaven's way of clearing the noise so the chosen one can hear the whisper of purpose. When the world pushes her aside, it is only because God is pulling her closer. In the quiet, she learns to distinguish between distractions and destiny. In the loneliness, she finds intimacy with her Creator. And in the rejection, she discovers radical self-worth that doesn't require outside approval. Eventually, what was hidden becomes undeniable. What was rejected becomes revered. And the woman who was once isolated is now illuminated. But she never forgets what shaped her. Her power is not in her appearance, or in titles, or recognition. Her power is in her presence, in the way she walks with God, even when no one is watching. That is why she is misunderstood, because she is spiritually rare. That is why she is isolated, because heaven is doing something in her that the world is not ready to see. And that is why she rises, again and again, not with noise, but with quiet, unstoppable grace. If this message speaks to your heart, drop a comment below. Isolation is preparation. Your words help us reach more souls on the same journey. 7. Growth in the dark. She doesn't bloom in sunlight first. She blooms in the dark. Her roots are not nourished by applause, but by pressure silence, and solitude. When a woman is chosen, her growth begins where no eye can see and no hand can interfere beneath the surface in sacred stillness. She learns to stretch downward before she ever reaches upward. And the deeper the root, the stronger the rise. You may not know it yet, but this hidden season is divine. The discomfort, the delay, the detours, they're not signs of denial. They're confirmations of destiny. Like a seed pushed deep into the soil, you are not being buried to die. You are being planted to rise. The darkness is not a punishment. It is the preparation. It is where heaven does its most intimate work, out of view, out of reach, but never out of purpose. Consider Ruth, who remained faithful in the shadows of grief and poverty. Her loyalty in obscurity prepared her for legacy. Joseph was cast into a pit, stripped of his status, forgotten in prison, and yet it was in that dungeon that his dreams matured. And Moses, hidden in a basket, raised in a palace, exiled to a desert, his leadership was forged in the loneliness of wilderness. None of them were revealed before they were refined. This is how God works with chosen souls. He hides them so he can shape them. Because a public platform cannot hold what hasn't first been privately rooted. If he exposed your gift before you had the spiritual structure to hold it, it would crush you. But in the dark, where no one sees you, he builds your resilience, your discernment, your obedience. What feels like delay is actually the construction of your spiritual infrastructure. And isn't it true? The soil is never glamorous. It's messy, dark, and full of resistance. But the soil is where transformation begins. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly on a stage. It dissolves inside a cocoon, hidden, motionless, forgotten by the world. And when it emerges, it no longer crawls. It flies. You are in your cocoon. You are in your soil. And though your hands feel empty, your spirit is being filled. What you think is a setback is a sacred stretch. You are not behind, you are becoming. True growth doesn't need a spotlight. It needs surrender. It needs depth. It needs the willingness to remain planted even when there is no evidence of progress. Because chosen women are not built to bloom fast. They are built to last. They are not grown in popularity, but in presence. And when they finally emerge, the world will not be ready, but heaven will have already approved. So if you feel unseen, remember this. Visibility is not the same as value. The world may not recognize the work God is doing in you, but the heavens do. Stay buried. Stay faithful. Stay rooted. Because growth in the dark is not weakness. It's the ultimate mark of the chosen. To affirm your growth even when no one is watching, declare your commitment. Comment below, "I'm growing in the dark," to honor your hidden season and encourage others who are quietly becoming stronger too. And now you know these hidden marks are not random. They are signs of a deeper calling, a sacred path reserved only for the chosen women who carry an ancient power within. Whether you recognize all 7 or just one, remember, your journey is not meant to be ordinary. It's meant to be divine. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Tap the notification bell so you never miss our next video, because your awakening is just the beginning. Until next time, stay radiant, stay wise, and keep walking your sacred path.